Shocking truths about medieval childbirth, what they never told you at 3 a.m. The wind howled through the narrow alleyways of the old town as the clock struck midnight. The faint glow of a single candle flickered ominously, revealing shadows that danced along the walls like whispers of the past. In the dead of night, tales of horror buried deep in history came to life, stories of women who faced unspeakable ordeals to bring forth new life. What if everything you thought you knew about childbirth back then was built on a bedrock of fear and superstition? Hold on to your seats, folks, because this ride is about to get bumpy. Imagine a dimly lit, cramped room filled with fear and uncertainty. Women huddled together, their faces pale, wide eyes reflecting the dread of what lay ahead. They would clasp their hands tightly, beads of sweat trickling down their brows as they whispered urgent prayers to the heavens. Strange herbs hung from the ceiling, dangling like forgotten hopes, their scents battling nausea and tension, promising relief that rarely came. The midwives, cloaked in grim determination, bore not only their tools but the weight of tradition that shaped their every action. Rituals, some terrifying, were imposed on these women to ward off evil spirits thought to linger around the desperate process of labor. As contractions ripped through their bodies, the air thickened with the sharpness of pain and a tension that seemed to stretch for hours. Walls whispered secrets of the past, reminding them of the countless others who had faced similar fate, some gone, some forever changed. The echoes of their cries lingered like distant thunder, sending shivers down the spines of anyone within earshot. Each groan and gasp was a reminder of the life and death struggle unfolding, a battle that twisted the very fabric of their existence. Suddenly, the door creaked open, letting in a gust of cold air. In walked a figure cloaked in darkness, disrupting the fragile atmosphere. The midwife turned sharply, eyes narrowing in suspicion. What was this newcomer's intention? Was it a chance to help, or was it a harbinger of doom? An unsettling hush fell over the room, hearts racing at the possibility of danger. The tension was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And just like that, the air shifted. The figure stepped further in, revealing a face marked by time and experience, a healer, perhaps? Or was it something more sinister? Whispers rose among the women, a chorus of uncertainty competing with the beat of their quickening hearts. What secrets did this new arrival carry? As hands trembled and breaths came quick, fate had drawn a line in the sand. This moment would change everything, but would it be for salvation or destruction? With a sense of foreboding pressing down on them, the women knew their fates were about to collide with an unknown force as ancient as time itself. What lay ahead? The answer lingered just out of reach, a tantalizing secret yearning to break free. The air crackled with tension as the candle's flame flickered, revealing the stranger's features, a face weathered by time, eyes glinting with knowledge that felt both comforting and threatening. Do not be afraid, the figure spoke, voice like gravel, cutting through the anxiety. I come to aid, not to harm. A murmur swept through the women, a blend of skepticism and hope. Who was this person who dared enter their sacred space? Was she truly a healer or a bearer of darker intentions? The midwife stepped forward, defiance coursing through her veins. We have established our ways for generations. We need no interference. Her words echoed against the stone walls, sounding more like a plea than a command. But the newcomer lifted a hand, a sharp gesture silencing the room. I know what the spirits whisper, she said, her gaze unwavering. You think you are merely fighting against nature, but you are up against something much older. A chill rippled through the air, mingling with the aroma of herbs that hung heavily above them. What do you mean? Another woman asked, her voice quaking like the candlelight. What do you know of our struggle? Everything, the figure replied, stepping closer, her presence commanding the attention of every wary eye. You are on the brink of life and death, bound by pain and tradition. But there is a deeper truth that lies beneath this agony, a choice few dare to confront. In that heavy moment, the weight of her words seemed to echo within the room. Hope mingled with dread, and every heart beat in the rhythm of impending doom. As another contraction tightened around the laboring women, the midwife turned back to her duties. She had heard countless tales of those who strayed from tradition, how some were cursed by the very spirits they sought to appease. Your knowledge may be wise, woman, she shot back, apprehensive yet intrigued, but not all of it is welcome here. The healer's lips pressed into a thin line. And yet, you are on the verge of losing someone. A new wave of panic washed over the room, voices rising as women exchanged frightened glances. The laboring mother let out a wail that sliced through their nerves, intensifying the atmosphere. The midwife rushed to her side, her hands trembling. What do we do? A voice whispered, quaking with anxiety. Embrace the truth, the stranger urged, as she moved closer to the side of the mother in distress. Death is woven within the fabric of life, but fear not. There are those who walk between worlds. There are those who can guide you if you dare to believe. Confusion clouded their minds. Hope and terror twisted together, creating a palpable tension that stretched the very air they breathed. The laboring woman writhed, pain etched deep in her features. I won't bring you ruin, the healer pressed, a glimmer of desperation creeping into her gaze. There is something you need to know, about your past and the strength buried within you. The floor felt like it tilted, each woman holding her breath. What dark secrets could this healer share that might alter their fates forever? As the candle flickered again, the shadows deepened, wrapping around them like a shroud. The moment hung suspended, brittle and electrified, a delicate balance on the precipice of revelation. Would the women seize this chance to unlock the hidden truths steeped in their history, or would the fear of the unknown hold them captive? The healer took a deep breath, preparing to unveil her wisdom that could shift the tides. And just as she opened her mouth to speak, the door slammed shut, plunging them into darkness as the flame extinguished, leaving them surrounded by the icy grip of uncertainty. Now, the darkness seemed to whisper, the choice must be made. Nothing but shadows surrounded them now, thick and consuming. The air felt alive, charged like a storm brewing just beyond reach. The faint smell of herbs was lost in the oppressive darkness, making it harder to breathe. Panic surged within the women, their hearts racing, lost in the unknown. Light the candle. Someone shouted, barely hiding the tremor in her voice. Do you think that will help? The midwife shot back, her own words tinged with fear. Both of them were locked in a stare, caught between desperate hope and unfathomable dread. Listen. The stranger's voice commanded, breaking through their rising hysteria, though muffled in the dark. All is not lost. Follow my voice. The laboring mother's cries echoed through the room, sharp and desperate, each cry racking their bodies. The midwife's instincts kicked in. She fought to focus, to be the anchor amidst the storm, unwilling to let the fear take root. Hold on. I'm here. She called out, her hands searching for comfort in the darkness. Don't listen to her. Another woman whispered urgently, the panic in her voice swirling like the shadows. We can't trust her. Silence. The healer's voice rang out like a clarion call, jolting them all. Believe me, it is the choice you make tonight that will echo through generations. You speak of choice, but you don't know our history. The midwife exclaimed, urgent desperation edging her tone. Some choices come with a price. What you offer could tear us apart. Inaction is a choice too, the stranger shot back, her words like a hard reality crashing through their fears. What is the price of losing the light for good? The realization crashed over the midwife. This silence could lead to disaster, leaving them trapped in an endless cycle of fate, too afraid to reach beyond tradition. I don't know you, she rasped, her voice breaking, filled with a strange mix of resentment and yearning. The laboring mother wailed again, each sound rattling through the chamber. The midwife turned back to her, feeling helpless. "Stay with me. You'll overcome this." But the healer was stepping forward, her silhouette a dark specter against the inky backdrop. She felt it a pulse beneath the layers of earth, the energy connecting them all in inexplicable ways. "The spirits are stirring. Will you let fear dictate your path, or will you seize the truth?" In the dark, the women exchanged glances, uncertainty rippling between them. There was a bond forged through generations of sacrifice and suffering, yet now also a sliver of rebellion, a chance to break free from the expectations that stifled them. "Look," said the healer, voice steady and coaxing. "You've called on the spirits so long. They have answers for you. But the path to freedom lies in confronting what you've always feared. What do we have to lose?" Someone whispered, a break in the tension, soft yet piercing. "Everything," the midwife warned. "Or perhaps everything you've held on to is what chains you," the healer countered. Her presence filled the room, bold and unyielding. "You must choose whether to stand in fear or embrace the unknown." Suddenly, a sharp cry filled the room, louder than before, sending a shiver through every woman present. It wasn't just the mother's pain, it was a sound woven with deep-rooted fear and longing, a cry for help more primal than any word spoken. Then, the door swung open abruptly, illuminating the space with a flicker of glowing light. The room returned for a fleeting moment to life, revealing shocked faces, clustered together. "What is happening?" A young woman gasped, eyes wide. The healer straightened, her expression fierce as she faced the blinding light. "Now you must decide." Before they could respond, the laboring mother screamed again. This time, it felt different, a new tension building, something staggering and pivotal. As the shadows melted into the rushing light, each woman clung to her choice, suspended in the air like a fragile thread. Would they finally weave a new fate? Before clarity could settle, a voice echoed from beyond the doorway. "The spirits demand a cost." The room went quiet. What price would they pay to unlock their future? The words hung thick in the air, resonating with a chilling finality. All eyes turned toward the doorway, where the light flickered. Shadows danced on the walls, revealing faces filled with fear and confusion, each woman grappling with the weight of the unknown. "What do you mean a cost?" the midwife demanded, her voice unsteady but fierce. "We've already sacrificed so much." The light grew brighter, as if responding to her anguish. It illuminated the healer's face, and for a fleeting moment, her features softened. "The spirits ask for what you value most," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "A truth, a bond, or perhaps a love." "What are you saying?" A young mother whimpered, her hands clutching her belly. "You can't ask us to give up what we hold dear. It's unbearable." The midwife stepped closer, desperation fueling her resolve. "We can hold on to our traditions, to the ways of our ancestors. That's how it's always been. It's how we survive." But the healer shook her head slowly, eyes piercing through the darkness like a beacon of possibility. "Is survival merely an existence of fear? Look at your faces. How much more do you have to endure before you awaken to the truth?" As her voice faded, the air thickened with tension, and the laboring mother screamed yet again. It echoed through the chamber, laced with an urgency that clawed at their hearts. The words of the healer swirled in their minds, mixing with the raw panic in the room. Each woman felt the struggle brewing within her. Should they stay tethered to their past, or dare to grasp a future defined by their own choices? "I'm afraid." One of the women burst out, trembling. "What if we lose everything? What if this truth tears us apart?" "It will be painful," the healer acknowledged, her expression somber but resolute. "But the darkness you fear is already here. It clings to you, suffocating your light. You must either face it or allow it to consume you." Outside, the winds howled, rattling the windows like restless spirits trapped beyond the veil. Each gust felt charged with urgency, echoing the tumult within. The midwife could feel her heart pounding in rhythm with those unseen forces, as if the very walls were drawing in a breath, waiting. Don't you feel it? The healer pressed, stepping into the light. The power that lies in choosing? You must ask yourselves, what is stronger? The fear of loss or the hope for freedom? Just as her words settled in, an old woman burst into the room, hushed by astonishment. What is going on? The whole village is awake. What is this light? All heads turned to her, expressions shifting from fear to confusion, and then to realization. The villagers sensed something monumental was unfolding, a fracture in their ordinary lives. The laboring mother's cries escalated, pulling everyone's focus back. Please. She gasped, desperation wavering in her voice. I cannot do this alone. I need your strength. In that moment, everything coalesced. The healer looked at each woman, anchoring them with her gaze. Together, you have power. Together, you decide. But the moment to act is now. An unspoken agreement flickered between them, igniting a spark of defiance. Fear began to bleed away, replaced with raw determination. But just as they found their strength, a thunderous crash reverberated from outside, sending vibrations through the ground. The women jumped, hearts racing anew. What was that? Someone cried out, terror lacing her tone. Whatever it is, it was summoned, the healer said, the gravity of her words palpable. We're on the brink of something larger than ourselves. The wind howled louder, almost as if it were warning them. What do we do now? The midwife's voice trembled, caught between tenacity and doubt. Embrace it or be swallowed whole, the healer replied with a fierce glint in her eye. And then, amidst the chaos, the laboring mother's cries, the echoes of lost histories, the gathering storm, a new voice emerged from within the shadows, rising with a power that sent chills down their spines. You think you have a choice? It thundered, a voice that seemed to carry the weight of ages. You're all tied to a fate far darker than you can imagine. Fear surged anew as the realization set in, they had just entered the epicenter of a conflict that would test their very souls. What awaited them on the other side of this haunting night? The air crackled with tension as the shadow's voice echoed through the chamber, wrapping around the women like a cold grip. The midwife's heart raced as she searched the dark corners of the room, trying to pinpoint where the voice had come from. What do you mean? She demanded, her voice shaky but defiant. We aren't bound by fate. We make our own choices. Do you truly believe that? The voice hissed, dripping with mockery. You've worn your chains for so long, you've forgotten they exist. The darkness doesn't just threaten you, it thrives within your heart. The shadows shifted, coiling into grotesque shapes that flickered on the walls. Gasps escaped from the women, their eyes wide with terror. The laboring mother gasped for breath, her pain mixing with the surreal fear that engulfed them. Look around. The shadow's voice surged with dark power. What do you see? Despair, fear, ignorance. This is your truth. The healer stood firm, arms crossed and eyes burning with resolve. You'll not drown us in your negativity. We are more than what you claim. We will decide our own fate. The midwife echoed, strengthening their collective resolve, yet the shadow simply laughed, a cruel sound that sent chills down their spines. You think so? The spirits will be here, asking for your sacrifice soon. When the moment comes, you will fold under the weight of your own fears. As if summoned by the words, a low rumble began, reverberating through the ground. Each woman felt it pulse to the rhythm of her heartbeat. The wind battered the windows, and the darkness outside crept closer, as though seeking entry. What do we do? The young mother gasped, clearly overwhelmed. How do we fight back? The midwife stepped forward, a fierce strength building within her. We fight together. We face this darkness. Just then, the healer raised her hand, silencing them. No, we don't just fight. We must acknowledge the truth that we each carry. Examine your bonds to what you cherish. It is in the surrender that we uncover our greatest strength. And what if we lose everything? A trembling woman whispered. In response, the healer stepped closer to the laboring mother, who was now panting heavily, face contorted in pain. You must trust one another. Let your fears be transformed into courage. Feel the bond, not just of blood but of this moment. Only then will you find your way through the storm. Suddenly, with a sound like shattering glass, something sharp broke the tension. Pieces of blackened wood from outside flew through the window, scattered like falling stars, and the portal opened wider, a dark mass threatening to engulf them all. Now! The healer shouted, holding her hands out into the hollow dark, channeling her energy. Hold on to what you love. Gather it, and let it fill you. The women reached for one another, forming a tight circle around the laboring mother. Fingers interlocked, they breathed together, centering themselves as their breath became a prayer. Feel the warmth of your bonds, the healer urged, her eyes shining with fierce determination. Let love infuse this empty space with light. With mounting intensity, the dark mass pulsed like a living thing, a predatory presence looming over them as if sensing the power building within their union. The wind howled, rattling the chamber as if in protest. Faster! Call upon your truth. The healer's voice rang through the chaos. Then, just as the darkness seemed ready to swallow them whole, a single, brilliant spark erupted from their joined hands, exploding outward like a beacon in the night. The air went still. The shadows hesitated, retreating as moments turned into minutes of uneasy silence. What is happening? Murmured one of the women, her voice barely above a whisper. The healer's eyes widened. It's fighting back. But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, an unsettling laughter filled the air, deeper and richer than before. Ah, how cute, the shadow sneered, its edges flickering. Do you really believe this is a victory? This was just the beginning. And then, vanished into the darkness once more, leaving the women potent with fear and uncertainty. They looked at one another, breaths heavy with a mix of relief and dread. What awaited them in the shadows? Deep down, an unsettling realization ignited, the fight had only just begun. The silence shattered, a piercing scream escaped from the laboring mother, echoing through the chamber. Her body arched, contorting under the weight of her agony. The once steady rhythm of her breaths faltered, turning sharp and desperate. What is happening to her? Panic laced the midwife's voice. Her hands trembled over the woman's forehead, slick with sweat. The air thickened, its weight almost unbearable. The healer's face was a mask of concentration, brows knitted tight. The darkness is feeding on her pain. We can't let it take her. A gust of icy wind surged through the broken window, swirling around them like a living hurricane, threatening to snatch away their unwavering resolve. The shadows danced, taunting, as the room pulsed with an ominous energy. Each flicker of darkness whispered their doubts into the night. Stay strong. The midwife shouted, gripping the laboring mother's hand tightly. You are not alone. We are here, and we will fight for you. The other women leaned in closer, their voices rising in a chant, a rhythm born from their shared fear and shared love. You're stronger than this. We believe in you. But the ominous laughter returned, creeping deeper into their bones. What a spectacle! Do you really think your words can drown out the shadows? The storm is here. You can't hide. Just as the shadows seemed ready to sweep the women away, the healer began to glow, a soft light emanating from her heart, spreading to the others. The laboring mother's body shuddered in reaction, responding to the warmth gathering around them. Trust in each other. The healer urged, her voice like a soft breeze cutting through the chaos. Together, we can stand against anything. Each woman closed her eyes, summoning every shred of hope, every cherished memory, every ounce of love. It surged through their hands, weaving a tapestry of resilience. But the darkness screeched, a guttural roar that rattled the room. Your light only makes me hungrier. This is your last chance. Choose your sacrifice wisely. The weight of the air shook around them, suffocating with dread. The shadows loomed larger, merging into a monstrous shape, an embodiment of their fears. What if this isn't enough? A woman cried out, fear spilling from her lips, raw and palpable. What if we can't do this? Some faces flashed uncertainty, hearts pounding with panic. The laughter continued, echoing, mocking. But the midwife stepped forward again, fists clenched, brows furrowed. We decide our worth. It doesn't matter what it wants, only what we hold dear. The wind howled, an angry beast tearing through the remnants of their unity. But still, the flickers of hope refused to die in that moment. Time slowed. The laboring mother gritted her teeth, drinking in the warmth, the strength of her sisters, her eyes fluttering open, fierce determination ignited. Together. She gasped, her voice raw yet powerful. And at that, realization hit all at once, like the crack of thunder. Each woman opened her eyes, filled with a light that came from within, a fire born of sacrifices made, losses endured, and love shared. The shadows recoiled, hissing as the light grew stronger. No. You're fighting the inevitable. Something must be lost. As their courage mounted, the dark mass began to distort, shrinking under the intensity of their unified will. The shadows writhed, threatening to regain control. But the women held fast, determined. Let it be our fear. The midwife called out. Let that be the sacrifice. The dark entity shrieked, twisting violently. The women strained together, pouring forth every doubt they had, every nagging fear, until it became a tangible thing, a shapeless weight forgotten in the chaos. Now. The healer shouted, voice rising above the din. Cast it away. Release it. And in one shuddering breath, they did. With it came a rush of energy, a blinding pulse of light that erupted, simultaneously illuminating the room and incinerating the shadows. The darkness screamed, retracting, shrinking beneath their collective strength. Yet, even as it retreated, a voice slipped through the cracks. You may have bought some time, but the true test is yet to come, and I shall return. As the walls trembled, the women felt something shift. The air became electrified and thick. The shadows vanished, leaving only silence, but in that void lay a question: was this victory? The room was alive with uncertainty, and deep down, each woman felt it. The shadow was waiting, lurking just outside their hard-won light. What darkness would return when the light faded? The stillness was deceptive, a lull before a storm. The women stood together in a haunting calm, glancing anxiously at one another, hearts racing in unison. The laboring mother lay still, her breath steady now, but the chill in the air whispered of something lurking, plotting. The midwife rubbed her hands together, trying to shake off the tension. We need to prepare. The darkness won't abandon us easily. Her voice was a tremor, but she wore her determination like armor. The healer, still glowing, surveyed the room with a furrowed brow. We have bought time, yes. But the entity was not only drawn by the mother's pain. It is our fears, our secrets that it craves. She turned slowly, locking gazes with each woman, peeling back the layers of their souls. What do you mean? A voice rose from the crowd, quaking with uncertainty. If it seeks our fears, another began, a dawning horror creeping across her face. Then it will know us. Deeply. The midwife nodded, a sense of dread settling over the room. We must not just withstand the darkness. We must confront it. Face what lies buried within ourselves. The silence thickened, taut as the stretched skin of a drum. One woman stepped forward, her voice barely a whisper. I've lost a child before. The admission hung heavy, a stone dropped into a murky well. I fear I'll fail again. Gasps echoed, recognition painted on the faces of her sisters. They had all tasted loss, they had all buried pieces of themselves. In that moment, the shadows outside seemed to shift, sensing the tremors of fear that rippled through the room. You're not alone, the midwife said, taking the woman's hand. Those losses shape us, but they can't define us. But doubt crept in, sneaking through the cracks in their fortitude. What if the darkness takes our children? What if we can't protect them? As each woman shared her own hidden dread, the shadows outside thickened, twisting and coiling like a serpent ready to strike. It only needs a crack to creep in, the healer cautioned, her voice firm but with a quiver of urgency. Authority over our fears must be restored now before it's too late. Just then, a low growl reverberated from the depths of the now quiet room, resonating against the stone walls. It was as if the shadows themselves were alive, tasting their vulnerability, eager to prey upon it. Feel your truth, embrace it. The healer urged. When we show the darkness our greater light, it will weaken. The laboring mother stirred, her eyes slowly opening. Something flickered behind them, a fire ignited, a spark kindled. With great effort, she raised her head slightly, roots of strength burrowing deep into her surroundings. We must show it our love, she whispered fiercely. The women, touched by her bravery, echoed her sentiment, intertwining their fears with threads of hope. Together, they said, voices unified, building a shield against the creeping dark, but as they spoke, the shadows thrashed against their resolve, a cacophony of whispers clawing at their thoughts. You think your love can defend you? I will feed on these affections, these warm hearts. I'll take everything. Terrified gasps replaced their strength, and the reflection of uncertainty flashed across the women's faces. Quickly! The healer cried out. Don't let it snatch your hearts. Dig deeper, find those tender memories, let them burst forth. One by one, they released the beautiful fragments they thought wouldn't matter. The laughter of a lost child, a gentle hand of a loved one, the warmth of shared moments. Each cherished memory fought against the encroaching darkness, but would those fragile memories be enough? They felt the room tremble, the shadows absorbing their fear beneath a tidal wave of anticipation. What would happen when the darkness struck back? In that moment, a woman screamed, the very air vibrating with terror. It's here. The shadows surged, a mass of fury and hunger narrowing in on them. And as the light began to flicker and fade, each woman was left with a single lingering thought: were they truly prepared to confront what lay in the heart of their fears? The walls shook, and darkness began to swallow the light whole, thickening into a tempest. What awaited them on the other side of that darkness? The ground shook violently beneath them, a deep rumble that sounded like the growl of a beast awakening. The shadows twisted and writhed, fangs glimmering in the dim light like the eyes of hungry wolves. Hold the light! The midwife shouted, panic creeping into her voice. She grasped the mother's hand, her grip firm as she leaned in, determination flaring in her eyes. We're not lost yet. Focus on your love for that child. Let it burn bright. The laboring mother, her face pale and drenched in sweat, nodded weakly. A sudden surge of strength washed over her, and she screamed, "For my baby." The air shimmered as their voices harmonized. Every woman joined, some shouting, some whispering, all merging their memories into one heart-stopping wave of warmth and hope. Love, love, love. They cried, their spirits intertwining. The shadows recoiled, swirling violently as if stung. But the dark entity wasn't finished. With a cacophony of anguish, it howled, a sound that chilled their very souls. You think your love is stronger than me? I will drown it. I will consume every light you have hidden beneath the darkness. The reality of its threat settled like a rock in their stomachs. Horror flickered across their faces. What darkness had they sheltered within themselves? What sins and secrets did they still hold tightly, hiding deep inside? We need to confront it. The healer insisted, her voice cutting through the panic like a blade. Reveal the darkest corners of your hearts. Only then can we truly fight back. As fear gripped them, another woman stepped forward, trembling. I had a choice once. I didn't choose to keep the baby. Her revelation hung thick in the air, looser now, like forgotten chains. I carried that guilt, scared I could never be a good mother. I did the same. Another cried, stepping closer, her voice urgent. I thought I wasn't ready. But now she halted, eyes flaring. Now, that regret eats me alive. With every confession, the shadows recoiled, bleeding away with each whispered secret. Look at how they retreat. The midwife urged, emboldened. Do not hold back. Let your fears in. Let them free. Their hearts raced as they began to share. One after another, they let their hidden truths spill out, betrayals, shame, and fears that had lingered. Each memory released hit the darkness like a hammer, causing it to flicker and fade, but just when it seemed they might have the upper hand, the growl returned, fiercer, erupting from the walls. You forget the power of despair. I will remind you of all the pain you think you've buried. The lights in the room began to flicker as the shadows lunged forward with renewed ferocity. A deafening crack echoed as the entity smashed against their defenses, threatening to shatter their combined will. No. The healer screamed, her voice breaking like glass. Create a circle. Together. They formed a tight ring around the mother, hands clasped, hearts racing. The love they had nurtured was now spilling energy into one pulsing beacon of hope. Do not falter. The midwife shouted above the chaos, her resolve a lifeline. We are stronger than our fears. Whatever it takes, fight. Just then, a brilliant light burst from the laboring mother, illuminating the darkness in a blinding wave. The shadows shrieked, retracting from the warmth. Yet, as the light consumed the room, so did a chilling whisper penetrate their minds, you think this fight is over? Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through the mother, causing her to gasp. They felt it ripple through the circle, agony intertwined with fear. Stay with me. The midwife shouted, desperation clawing at her words. You can't give in. Not now. What else did the darkness still have in store? Would their fight against despair culminate in a victory or mark the beginning of something truly wicked? The light from the mother flared, radiating warmth and strength, but it was met with a darkness that seemed to laugh, a low rumble that reverberated through the very bones of the earth. Shadows swirled violently, their forms morphing into grotesque shapes that danced close to the group, whispering truths they never wanted to face. The midwife gritted her teeth, refusing to let her gaze waver just as the shadows approached. More. You must give more. She urged, her voice rising above the confusion. Your love is a shield. Don't let it crack. Each confession seemed to bind them closer together, yet the shadows clawed back, gnashing their teeth, hungry for despair. The atmosphere thickened, suffocating, as a sense of dread twisted in their chests. Each heartbeat echoed louder, a countdown to the unknown. The laboring mother's breaths came faster, desperation creeping in. I can't, it hurts. Her voice trembled, cracking under the weight of the fear. What if I fail? What if I can't be the mother they need? A tremor rippled through the circle. The healer's eyes widened. Remember your strength. You have a choice. Fight the fear. Embrace your truth. But the truth felt like a burden to some, weighing heavily, swaying them like frail leaves in an autumn wind. One woman's face contorted in distress as buried memories surfaced. I lost one, I've lost too much. How can this baby survive if I couldn't save the first? What if I die? The mother's whimper caused her companions to gasp, as if her words summoned the very shadows that clung desperately to every flickering moment. What if it takes me away from them both, from the baby? The darkness surged forward, a vortex of anguish, feeding off their fears like a ravenous beast. Embrace your despair, it echoed. Let it consume you. You are not strong enough. You cannot win. The midwife's voice cut through like a knife through wool. We are stronger when we don't hold on to the weight of our pain. As if summoned by her words, another woman stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. I turned my back on my own sister, I let her struggle alone. I tried to forget, but the guilt is a shadow that never leaves. Each syllable fell like a stone, reverberating in the air, as the shadows hissed, recoiling momentarily. The crowd murmured, unsure, but the healer pressed them on. Reveal what binds you. Face your pain together. Only then can we break this curse. One by one, they began to speak. Secrets leaked from their lips like festering wounds, lies they told themselves, betrayal and envy that lay dormant within their hearts. The air thickened with emotion, and tentacles of darkness jerked back with every revealing truth, as if stung, yet, victory seemed elusive. The darkness roared again, louder and more furious. You cannot win. You were never meant to prevail. I will destroy everything. Suddenly, a jolt surged through the mother, a visceral sensation so raw it stole her breath. Help me. She gasped, the words clawing their way out. I need strength, I need all of you. Shocked into action, the women clutched each other's hands tighter, faces resolute. Then share your heart. The midwife commanded. But even as their spirits merged, the shadows instigated a counterattack, a fierce rippling tide. It dove into the circle, threatening to tear them apart. Gritting their teeth against the strain, they stood together, light flickering as if teetering on the brink of extinction. What if, whispered a voice laced with fear, what if opening up simply feeds it more? A chilling silence settled over them, their hearts beating wildly. Doubt clawed at them, threatening to derail their already trembling fortitude. All eyes shifted to the mother, who was pulsating with a light that fought against the encroaching shadows. The room held its breath, suspended in limbo as they awaited her next cry. What heart-stopping truth would she reveal next? And would it be enough to turn the tide, or would it lay them all bare before the darkness ready to consume every last flicker of hope? The shadows loomed larger, a swirling mass hungry for despair and tears. The laboring mother's breaths deepened and tightened, causing every inch of her body to ripple with pain. But amidst the fear, clarity surged through her chest like a flame igniting kindling. In that moment, her fear transformed into a fierce determination. I do not fear what is dark, she cried out, her voice breaking through the noise, filled with an unexpected power. What I fear most is that I am not strong enough to love this child fiercely. In that instant, the room collectively gasped. The truth hung in the air, raw and powerful, shattering the stillness surrounding them. The healer stepped forward, her eyes blazing with light. That is your strength, she exclaimed, her voice echoing off the walls. The authenticity of your love is a force that cannot be consumed. Let it shine. With renewed fervor, the laboring mother let her truth spill forth, each word a thread tangled with her fears. I fear I will fail, that I'll never be what they need. But I will fight. I have no choice. Her voice echoed, weaving a tapestry of emotions that linked every woman present. The midwife nodded, the weight of uncertainty shifting into determination. We stand together for every fear, for every loss, and every moment of uncertainty. She shouted, raising her hand. Our bonds are forged not solely with love, but with our pain and our choices. We carry those truths like armor. The women began to chant, each voice rising, intertwining like a vibrant tapestry of emotions. Together. 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 They grasped one another's hands tighter, feeling warmth radiate between them, igniting sparks of courage that pushed back against the darkness. The shadows screeched, recoiling as hatred met love. You think your combined voices can halt me? It bellowed, sinking into the air, a heavy fog trying to smother their light. We are forged in our truths. The healer shouted. You cannot extinguish what you do not understand. As the words left her lips, the room dimmed momentarily, shadows swirling and writhing, becoming almost corporeal. Yet their fears continued to break the chains forged by despair and shame. One by one, the women continued to speak, their thoughts pouring forth like rushing water. My guilt over the child I lost tore me apart. I carry that regret every day. Another called out, her voice fierce yet heartbroken. I abandoned my sister when she needed me most. Cried another, tears streaming. I thought my pride mattered more than family. But I learned darkness doesn't just thrive in solitude, it nourishes when love is withheld. With each admission, the darkness flickered, its menacing whispers growing quiet. Keep going. The midwife urged, her heart pounding in rhythm with theirs. Let the light grow. Let it break through. The laboring mother's face twisted with pain yet determination shined through her eyes. I will be strong. I will claim this life and cherish it. She clutched her belly fiercely, a symbol, offering every fragment of her heart to the pulse of strength surrounding her. Whatever waits ahead, I will face it with love. The shadows shrieked, but their cries of contempt mixed with fear as the light from the women grew more intense, filling every corner of the room. The dark mass began to retract, shrinking under the relentless force of warmth and connection. This is your downfall. It screeched, its form wavering, desperate to regain power. You cannot hide from your past. You cannot escape the consequences of your lives. But the midwife stepped forward, unyielding. Every mistake we made is a thread in the fabric of who we are. We step forward not with shame, but with acceptance. Suddenly, the laboring mother cried out, every word resonating with a power that shook the depths of despair. Yes. My past is not my prison. The darkness may have shaped me, but it cannot bind me. Love binds me. My care binds me. The light grew to a blinding intensity. The shadows struggled, their silhouettes distorting, but the warmth fell like rain upon them, washing away the fear. Release the darkness and embrace our truth. They cried as one. In an eruption of brilliant light, the combined power surged, casting the remaining shadows into a frenzied retreat. The chamber shivered, air electrified. The shadows shrieked in agony, unraveling into tendrils of darkness before dissolving into mere whispers swept away. And in that moment, something shifted. The room brightened, the warmth settled, bathing them in the soft glow of healing. The laboring mother gasped, her body trembling. Is it over? The healer nodded, her glow brightening, a smile breaking through. For now, yes. But remember, the true challenge lies in every day that follows. The power of your love will always be your greatest protector. Nurture it, cherish it, and let the light guide you. Slowly, they surrounded the laboring mother, the palpable bond woven now stronger than fear. A sense of hope filled the air, a promise for the future blossoming amidst the bravery they had displayed. The tale of their darkness no longer defined them, instead, it became a chapter of resilience in their shared story. The midwife looked around at her sisters, tears glistening with gratitude. We faced the abyss together and prevailed. Never again will we walk alone through the shadows of our past. We are stronger now. As the candle's flicker steadied, a sense of balance reigned once more within the room. And with that warmth, they embraced the dawn of new beginnings, fearless and united. Emboldened by their truth, they took a breath. The winds outside had quieted, blending with the promise of coming light. Life awaited them, filled with uncertainty but now laced with strength and undying hope. As they turned together toward the future, the shadows lingered beyond the veil, content in their silence, for they knew the women now carried a flame that could never be extinguished. Now listen up. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and spread this finale far and wide. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic conclusion. Your voices matter and we want to hear them, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You, true fans, understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this amazing community alive.